just clapped. Woo, that was sick.
All right, what's going on, everybody? That was interesting. Hang on. Let me get straightened out here. Thanks for coming through, everybody. My name is Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. So should you. I just flew the two micros that I have together right now. These two fellas now on RPM filtering, and I forgot to feel the motors on the lighter weight one, but they're fine. Motor heat is totally fine, and that was pretty eye-opening. This guy needs some tuning for sure. Doesn't handle prop wash nearly as well as like my full-blown dialed-in tunes on 4.0, 3.5, 3.4, blah, 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 blah. But the Acrobrat, god damn, son. This thing is almost perfect with very, very, very little very little tuning. The way that the RPM filters work, I can see you guys talking about it already. There are 3 filters on each channel, on each motor. So each one of those filters, it depends on the harmonic that you have. Initially on the RPM tuning videos, Bardwell was saying to drop it down to 1 harmonic, but now we've learned that you want to leave it up on 3 harmonics. No, can't show a picture of the Acrobrat V2. Tommy would kill me. Got some sunlight coming through here. Let me kill it real quick. What was I just saying? Oh, that's better. Like a cave up in here. Yeah, so if you have the harmonic set to 3, which is where you should leave it. Ah, fuck. How's the sound not working? Oh, okay, cool. All right, good. Noah, your computer's broken. I don't know. Yeah, so if you leave the harmonics on 3, there are 3 individual filters per motor, which is huge. For example, if you have a bent bell, that's going to create 1 frequency of vibration. If you have a bent prop, that's going to cause a second one. If you have an arm that's starting to delaminate, maybe that's going to cause a 3rd harmonic. So the RPM filtering is going to really do a very good job at catching each one of those. The other thing it does better is it's very targeted. It's not like notch filters are so the whole point of filtering, right, is to have as little delay as possible, but as much filtering as is needed. And the RPM filters are very narrow, and in them being very narrow, they do not cause a lot of latency. So that's really like the special sauce to the RPM filters. And god damn it, do they ever work. The big problem with micros is a lot of the vibrations happen up higher in the frequency range because everything is smaller and the KVs are all higher. The majority of the work on BL Heli has been done with 5-inch rigs. So the RPM filters now are kind of the first chance that we've had. Yeah, the sound is going to be off when I talk. I don't have a way of really fixing that here. Let's see how off it is. I can actually adjust something if you guys, yeah, it's YouTube. So yeah, RPM filters, rad. These both have BL Heli S ESCs in them too. So I spent all of $10, and how much are they not synchronized? Let me. There is something in here I can adjust. I think it's in advanced audio properties. Yeah, there's a sync offset, just a little. All right, let me move the sync offset from 100 to 200, and we'll see what that does. Let me do this. Right, zoom mic. Yeah, so I just changed the sync offset to 200. Is that any better? Monitoring off, down next to mono, volume, zoom mic, balance. Okay, about a second off? Oh my god, that's brutal. So I think that would mean 1,000 that I would need to drop in here. So let's see how that is. Sound before video. That makes sense, yeah. So is that any better? Oh, Kristen's home! Hey! I just started streaming. How are you?
Tired.
My beautiful... Oh, is that better? Nice. Cool. Thanks, guys. We're still troubleshooting OBS. So anybody that's new here, thanks for coming over, first and foremost, from Joshua Bardwell's stream. Let me get some nonsense out of the way here. Again, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Look me up at CiottiFPV on Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, and I think that's about it. Oh, and Patreon. Here comes the link to my Patreon. I basically have my Patreon set up. Sound is after the video? Okay, I'll decrease that a little bit. I have my Patreon set up just like in that it is any tier gets you access. What's up, Tranquility? Any tier gets you access, and so whatever you can afford, whatever is comfortable for you, awesome. Once you get in the door, I use it as a big old sort of message board almost, where I can put all of my deepest and darkest thoughts, typically about FPV. Oh, thank you. Love you, baby. All right, so yeah, lots of good stuff in here. Some stuff is of my own kind of volition, just stuff that I've thought through. Some stuff is what I've found to be valuable out in the world of FPV. Most recently, I did this little article here on the new, well, I should say, Mark Spatz's new process for reducing the filters if you're going to be running RPM filters in Betaflight 4.1, which is very, very important. Now with the newer firmwares, we really want to tune our filters before our PIDs, and filter tuning is going to have a big effect on prop wash. So we want to remove as much filtering as we possibly can before the motors start getting hot. And then once we get that to a comfortable spot, now we're going to tune the PIDs. So that's really all I've done on these two. That's also important to note, is that these are on stock PIDs, which I never do. I always add P and D gain, but I did a little bit of filter reduction. Basically what I did is, and let me zoom on this a little bit for you guys. All right, so what I've done so far on both of these guys is I did not set the dynamic filter range to low. You know, I need to edit this, actually. If on 5-inch build, but set to high on micros. I think that's correct. I do have to test that, but that does seem to be correct. I don't want anybody to blow up a micro. It's going to be higher. It's going to be safer, rather, having it set on high with a micro. So that's why I wanted to edit that right now. So on these two guys, what I did is the regular setting for the filter range is medium. So I moved it up to high on both of these guys because they're micros, because all of the frequencies are jacked up, RPMs are jacked up, everything is happening at a higher megahertz, a higher frequency. I reduced the dynamic width percentage to 0, all the way down to 0. I think it starts at like 15 stock. So I just dumped it all the way down to 0. For the record, I don't recommend being so aggressive with these unless you know that the rig is very sound and very smooth, and quite frankly, unless you've been doing this for a while. What you should do is move these down in steps. You know, if this width percentage here starts at, I think it's at 120, I would move it down to like 60 first and fly it, make sure the motors don't get too hot, then maybe drop it down to 0. And then once you get it down to 0, you're going to go to the next step, which is what I did. This dynamic, oh no, okay, so this width percentage, I think it starts at 15, come to think of it. So drop it down to 10, make sure the motors aren't too hot, drop it down to 5, make sure the motors aren't too hot, and then drop it down to 0. The 120 that I was thinking of is the dynamic notch Q. Q is basically a measure of trust. The higher the number, the more trust we're putting that the signal is clean. So the default value of the dynamic notch Q is 120, and we're going to move it upwards in steps, maybe 180 and then 220, and then Mark says that the maximum you want to do here is 250 of the dynamic notch Q, the amount of trust being placed in the gyro signal. So I did that. I moved that up to 250, and then I stopped. I did not start moving these standard, what we're used to, gyro and D-term low-pass filters. That's going to be my next step once I have some meaningful data on the motor heat. I didn't test the motor heat. I just flew these. You know what? Shit. I'm going to plug these in, and you guys can see what I was just doing. So anybody that bailed on the stream, they're not going to get to see the test flight. So poo-poo on you. So let me get that. That's the Acrobrat plugged in. So yeah, after you got to this point, as I mentioned here, a max of 2.0. These gyro and D-term low passes, according to Mark, are where the some really decent gains are to be had on latency, and which is going to increase performance. So yeah, that getting these all the way up to 2.0. He started to talk about that kind of being one of the points where you start to see diminishing returns, but the next step is to fully turn off the gyro low pass 2 and then gyro low pass 1 as the final step. I have a feeling most people are going to be able to do these first 4 steps, and then they're going to start to get motor heat. So I think, and Mark says that's actually a good thing, because again, these are the ones that make the biggest performance difference. What the Betaflight team's approach has been, it seems lately, in my opinion, is they seem to be prioritizing the things that, and I know this is definitely Mark Spatz's approach to tuning. They're really focusing on the things that give them the most bang for their buck, the things that decrease the latency the most, but don't increase motor heat and problems. So again, it all comes down to getting the least amount of filtering possible, but having filters that are very so to do that, you have to have very targeted filters. Logan Rollins just put an awesome comment in here. Thank you for that. With a little bit more technical of a definition of what the Q is. He says it relates directly to how wide the notch is. The lower the number, the wider the single notch is. And again, we want as little filtering as possible. So the more narrow the notch, the less filtering that's being done, the less the CPU has to work to filter out all these different vibrations and frequencies. So there we go. Yeah, so here comes a link to my Patreon into the chat. If you're not on there, it's a really cool little community of folks. Everybody that's on there, you guys are awesome. Absolutely love it. There's a couple extra kind of like hidden perks. There's a couple of private Facebook groups that we've got going. One of them is like a swap and shop, so you can, have a small group of people that you can swap stuff with and sell stuff, which is pretty slick, so less chance of being ripped off or whatever, I guess. And then there's just like a general, hey, everybody kind of hang out, put pictures of your builds, and screw around. So yeah, let's jump in to this footage that I just got with the Acrobrat. So I'm just going to do this real quick here. I don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time. I do want to get into the things that I've got planned. So let's go in here to video, and it should be this last one. Yeah, let's take a look. And I'm going to kill the audio because it's probably going to be horrible. All right, here we go. Cool. So I guess I can talk over this. Yeah, the Zoom mic is still on. So I can talk over this. This is, I've only just recently started to fly here. So the first thing I notice is when I stab the throttle, I'm getting a little bit of like a single, maybe 1 or 2 quick bobbles, wiggles. I'm going to try tuning that out with more P gain. That's typically where I go to get rid of that. The other thing that affects that is center of gravity. and where the hell did the Acrobrat go? Well, this is with the Acrobrat on the T-Motor 1507s. But basically, the first thing I'll do is I'll go back out when I see that and shift the battery either forwards or backwards to see if that cleans it up a little bit. You can also just see there was a little bit of prop wash there. Those were I specifically did those prop wash runs. Let's go back to that. So this is kind of like this is simulating the worst possible case scenario for prop wash. You go one direction, you turn 180, and you blip the throttle hard. Here it is. Boom. That's it. That's how you test prop wash. You can tell if you did a good prop wash run if at the end of it your quad stalls in the air. And you'll see it here. No, let me go back a little bit. All right, you'll see it on this second one. I'll call it out for you. On this one, ready? We'll look at stall. See how it just stalled in the air? That means I ran it into its own prop wash. I blipped the throttle, and I arrested all of the movement that it had going. So that's the worst. Oh, I plugged it in, right? The Acrobat is right here. It's plugged in, and I'm watching the video from it. So yeah, that's how you know if you did a proper prop wash run to test that out. And this didn't wiggle bad. This is way better than anything has been on a stock tune, so I can already tell that it's working. But with a little bit more P gain, I bet you that'll clean right up. This is just me getting carried away at how good this thing was flying. I didn't want to fly a whole battery. I wanted to come back in and get the stream going. But I was in the zone. What can I say? Yeah, so like I said, I haven't flown this much. This is only like my 4th or 5th battery flying outside my apartment. So I don't really know this space all that well quite yet, but I'm looking forward to learning it. There's more Scraggle than you'd think. So I'm not really going too ham yet, but I did want to try to split that, and I just didn't quite make it. I'd been eyeballing that split in the trees, so I figured I'd go for it after I jump over that. This little branch here is just perfect to do split S's over, this guy. It's so perfect, and I'd been eyeing that gap up, but it looks like I think I need to go through it a little bit higher because the gap gets higher as it goes up. So next time I do it, I'll go through a little higher. So there you go. There's an Acrobrat with the RPM filters turned on for the first time, pretty much stock tune, and the filtering just dropped down a little bit to be more aggressive and faster and whatnot. And yeah, these guys down below me were like, that guy's crazy. He's flying all around. He's so accurate with it. So I figured I'd come down and say hi to that guy. Yeah, so there you go. That's what I was up to at the beginning of the stream. That is the Acrobrat. Let's plug in the CB3 because that was a little bit worse, and I can kind of talk through where it was worse and why I think it was worse. The biggest reason that I think it's worse is that it has a flight controller. The problem with that, Tux, is that it's very easy with apartment complexes to kind of get in trouble for flying out there like that and have people complain about the noise and just generally you being a hooligan. My last apartment complex, I was able to fly outside like that. It was an even better situation. I was able to fly outside like that for a couple months before somebody complained and the complex just said, hey, you can't do it anymore. Which, what am I going to say? Screw you. Throw me out of here. But yeah, so I just got to sort of be careful about that. So let's see. All right, so this would be it. So let's take a look at how the CB3 did. Oh, farts. It's not going to play. Let's try to copy it to the hard drive. So the reason why this one is worse, and I'm probably going to tear this apart tomorrow night, is the flight controller on this is a Talon F7 V1, and the only gyro available at that time was the ICM gyro, the 32K gyro, and that gyro just has problems. It's just too sensitive. I really do not suggest anybody buy a flight controller with an ICM gyro on it. The MPU 6000 gyro is plenty fast and just works better. Period. No questions asked. I've tried these ICM gyros at least on 4 different occasions. Yeah, you can tux, but then the audio becomes a pain in the ass. I haven't quite figured that out, how to do that yet, and have the audio come through properly. So yeah, I have another one of these Talon. So the Talon V2, the Talon F7 V2 flight controller gave you an option. They made one with the MPU, and they made another one with dual ICMs. So I guess it'll be twice as twitchy and horrible. But yeah, so I ordered up one of the MPU 6000 Talon F7. So I think on tomorrow night's stream, I'm going to swap this into the CB3. Let's see if this will play, because it'll definitely help me to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about with these ICM gyros and how touchy they are. So let's organize these by last opened. And no, that's not it. Not last opened. Date created. That's what I want. What? Come on. Where'd it go? All right, I'll just find it on my desktop. Hold up. Where did that file go? Here it is. Okay, let's see if it'll play in VLC. Nope. Try shrinking it down. See if that helps. Let me kill this audio a little bit here. Oh my god, the Tarsier. Ah, this is fucked up. I don't know what it is about like the codec or whatever that Caddx uses, but they all play like this. I have to... they're fine once I get them into Premiere, but... And this is, in fairness, an 8 or 9-year-old computer now. Well, whatever. That's fine. It was similar, but a little bit worse. So there we go. That's all I have to say about that. We got some questions. We got a ton of comments. I'm going to jump into it. Let me switch the camera real quick here. Where'd OBX go? There it is. All right, so let's dive into these questions and this chat. How do you say that? D-A-R-I-J-E was the first one in here. Darij Kaik. Hello, can I mix 2 ESC brands with the same amperage but same motors? Yeah, technically, for sure, you can. You can even mix and match motors. You can even mix and match motors with different KVs. The error correction in these things, the PID loop is just that good, where it just kind of figures it out. So yeah, absolutely, you can mix ESCs, you can mix motors. What's going to happen is whichever ESC or motor has the least performance, that's what the whole system is going to have. So the error correction loop is basically going to, like, for example, ramp the throttle up until the one motor maxes out and can't produce any more thrust, because maybe the motor is a lower KV or the ESC is struggling, and then that's it. And it's going to limit the rest of the motors to that. So yeah, great question. You can absolutely do it. Shane Duggar is in the house. Houseblog is here. Noob Gone Wild. That's a cool name. Spudnik. Noah is here. What up, Noah? Fantastic moderator and human being. Shout out to Tux as well, the other moderator. Thanks for hanging, brother. Kai is here. Dr. Own Zimdrone. That's pretty slick. Supercell FPV is here. Flister is here with a question. How much should my 5-inch quad weigh with a GoPro Session and a 200-gram 6S LiPo? You're at 682. That's becoming pretty normal. 650 plus grams is kind of where a lot of the 6S builds are now coming in at. So you're at pretty much a standard weight. I'm assuming your frame is about 140 grams. Personally, and mainly because of how much time I spend also flying micros, I build my 5-inch freestyle rigs to be as light as I possibly can, because that flies as close as possible to the 5-inch. A light 5-inch rig is going to fly a little bit more like a micro. So I fly Bob Rugi's Glide frame, and don't mind my pajamas. I just woke up. I was streaming until like 4 a.m. last night. I did a 4-hour stream last night by accident. I was not paying close attention to time. But this is Bob Ruge's glide frame. It is a 102 gram frame. It's got strength in all the right places, and it's got cutouts in all the right places. So it is still plenty strong. This is pretty much as strong as any other, like I would say, 130 gram frame. The 140, 150 gram frames out there. I don't know exactly what it weighs, but I think Stinger Swarm, Kevin Doherty's Stingy V2 frame, I believe that is around 140, 150 grams. Don't quote me on that. If you know the weight of that frame, let me know, because I've asked Kevin, he doesn't know. I've asked XR, they don't know. Yeah, they are very stout, very, very, very stout, which is great because on those you pretty much never have to worry about the frame breaking. But what happens with those frames, in my experience, is that since the arm is never going to let go, a lot of the hits that we take are going to bang a motor bell. And what I've found with this glide frame is that Bob made the arms just thin enough so that the arm will break, and sometimes it'll save the motor, which is really nice, especially because the arms are $7 and the motors are $25. And I can swap an arm in the field with 2 bolts, neither one of which go through the stack. The stack is on these 4 here. Boom, 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 boom. So yeah, swapping an arm is very, very easy. You cut a zip tie, you pull the race wire up off, motor screws come out, 1-2 screws. One of them is in a press nut here. The other one goes through the standoff. Very easy to pop those screws out. Yank the arm, drop the new arm in, bolt the motor back down, 2 bolts, zip tie your race wire back down, and away you go. So yeah, this rig all up with a 6S 1000. I go with the I'm really hoping they come out with a 900 mAh 6S battery, to be honest. I want a 6S battery that weighs what a 4S 1300 weighs. But all said and done, 1000 mAh 6S battery on 2306 motors. This guy comes in at like 610 all up. I have an identical version with set up for 4S, and with the 150 gram RDQ, which are just a white labeled GNB 4S 1300, that thing is at like 598, and I really like the weight of that. But I wanted to try 6S. I thought there was a 150 gram 6S battery out, but I was wrong. The lightest one right now is the Tattoo R line, which is 180 grams. So there's that weight difference. There's that 20-30 gram weight difference. Great question, Flister. The weight of your rig is very important. It's something that we don't talk about enough in this hobby. These things are flying. And as with helicopters, they are beating the laws of physics into submission. As evidenced by the fact that if you shut the throttle off, this thing just plummets straight down to the ground and explodes. An airplane at least has a wing that can glide down. You know, an airplane is not beating the laws of physics to death anywhere near as bad as one of these guys. So weight makes a huge difference because, again, we always have to use the little amount of power that we've got, the 3 minutes worth of power that we've got, to keep the damn thing up in the air for the entire flight. So be a weight Nazi. I've been called a weight Nazi a bunch of times, and I would love to be called it a bunch more times because it means that I'm paying attention to something that matters. Lighter weight rigs will also crash better. The balance is, in order to lighten the rig up, one of the things to do is make the frame thinner, and then you lose some structural integrity of the frame. This is Bob's third frame. He had the Flow Ride, and then the Floss Style, and now the Glide. So he's spent a good amount of time figuring that out, figuring out that balance of where he can remove weight and where he shouldn't, to have something that is as light as possible but still the right strength for the weight that it is. Woo! All right, so that was a good rant. Again, awesome question, Flister. Luke Beal is up in here. What's up, Luke? Supercell, I think I called you out. Bradley Parsons, hello. All right, skip a bunch. Harsa, cool music. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Ronnie Rengkung from Indonesia. Very cool. Welcome. Dr. Owen says, nice flying. Thank you, man. Can you name this song, asks Harsha. It's on my channel, and I try my best to always put the song in the description. Let's see if I was successful in doing that in this particular occasion. Let's go in here, and it's going to be over a little bit. Here it is. Derpa. It is Drift and Collide. See if I called it out. I did. Uprising by Magic Sword. There you go. Magic Sword, if anybody doesn't know them, is an awesome, very unique band. I think you guys will dig them. And this song is Uprising. Really great jam. All right, I can kill that. Let's keep going. Less than 800 is good, Supercell says. I would say less than 700, better yet, less than 650 is good. If you've got a bunch of TPU on there, get it off. You would not believe how much TPU weighs a rig down. For your antenna mounting, don't have one of those huge TPU things hanging out the back. It's just wasted weight. Do like zip ties, do a smaller TPU mount. Minimize that stuff. Look at your, sit there with your builds and just look at it and just like, where can I save weight? These wires are too long. I can cut these down. Like the motor wires. Motor wires are thick and you've got 12 of them. So cut them down. Don't cut them down so that they're the perfect length. Leave a little bit extra, but don't have a whole bunch of extra motor wire that you're like wrapping around the arms. That's just dead weight for no reason. Your skid guards, which I do recommend, because it really makes the arms last a lot longer since they delam very easily on the tips here in the front when you're flying really low and you scrape on the ground. Just run the skid guards in the front. Don't run them in the back because you very rarely scrape the back ones on the ground. What I do is on one of my rigs I don't run them, and then I bang up the just to save the weight. They're about 2 grams each. And then the ones that get banged up, I put onto the rear of all my other rigs. So most of my rigs, the rear tips of the arms are all bashed to shit because those are the ones that I ran on the front of that ultra lightweight rig. So yeah. What else do we have? Okay. Craig Larson's here. What's going on, Craig? Mr. Tux. Ken Swain, House Blog again. Craig Larson, Eber FPV, nice. Cecil M is here, came over from Joshua, thank you. Glad to have you. Just searching for any other questions here. Bradley Parsons again, here we go. Bradley Parsons has the Brother Hobby 1407 3600 kV motors. I am not going to read the rest of that comment. And I am going to guarantee you, I'll hold my hand up here, I guarantee you the rest of your question is, why does it fly like shit? And the reason is, those motors are too notchy. The defined notches of the Brother Hobby motors on micros makes tuning them a complete nightmare. So now I'll read the rest of it. And 1407 3600 kV motors on a BQE 3AF frame, which is a good strong frame. That frame is a sort of cousin to these CB3 frames. Rotorius, who makes these CB frames, and BQE, the owners of those two companies are old-time pals, and they swap designs here and there and talk to each other a lot. So it's a good frame. I know that's a good frame, and there it is, and it flies like garbage. Lots of jitters on punch-out and dive recovery. These are very notchy motors. Are they my main problem? There you go. Ditch those motors. What you want, what's that, Bradley, what's that build weigh? My guess is that 3AF frame is a little bit heavier than the CB3 frames, so my guess is that build probably weighs anywhere between 210 and 240 grams. That puts you right in between two different motors two of the very few motors available that are actually smooth. The micro motors available that are actually smooth, which are what I have on here, which are the 1306 4000s, which you want to run on 4S. These will work, but these will give you a very freestyle-y quad that'll be really good for small spaces. Medium to big spaces, they're going to lack a little bit of power, I think, but as long as you have a 5-inch, that's what you should be flying in those medium to large spots. Your micros should be for small spots, right? We want to use the right tool for the right job. So for small spots, these 1306 4000s, which are made by both Emax and RCX, the RCXs are a little bit better. You got to buy them from My RC Mart. And you're going to either pay $10 for shipping and wait 2 weeks, or you're going to pay $25 for shipping and you're going to get them in 2 days. So get a bunch of your friends together if you want to go that route and have everybody chip in towards that $25 shipping, and you can get these RCX 1306 4000s a little quicker. These motors are going to give you an awesome freestyle rig, and they're nice and smooth. You can feel it when you turn them by hand. Or the other option, and I have a hard time recommending these T-Motor 1507s now, and that fucking breaks my heart because I love T-Motor. Their F40 Pro 2s are hands down my favorite motors for 5-inch. I love that all their motors are really good quality, and their 1507s here are that. They are great quality, but there are a couple things that kind of broke my heart that they did between the prototype and the production model. The big thing is that they dropped the kV down. These prototypes that they sent me are 4000 kV, and on 4S with these low pitch 3028 gem fans, it's just not quite enough RPM for a heavier rig. It's fine, as you guys saw. It totally rips at 4000 kV, but the production models, they dropped down to 3800 kV, and that's going in the wrong direction. Zing just released a 1507. Well, iFlight released a 1507 called the Zing, which we've all seen before. One of my Patreon friends, John, came down last weekend, I guess it was, and let me fly and break his Acrobat on these Zing 1507s. They are the Zing motors are just as smooth as these T motors, which is the big thing. So you get jello-free footage, you can get a really locked-in tune, all the good things. But as you can see here, they are 4200 kV, which is going to be much better on these low-pitch, more freestyle-y kind of props. So as much as I love T-Motor and their team, Vivian is awesome. Vivian, if you're watching, I'm so sorry to have to say this, but the Zing motors are going to be what I have to recommend. As much as I would love to get a T-Motor sponsorship, giving which I'm sure won't happen anyway. I'm not on the level of their pilots, but yeah, I'm not gonna recommend a motor that's not the best one available in a class just to try to appease a company. I would rather recommend this motor and challenge T-Motor to make some changes to their 1507 to make it a little bit better for the Acrobat and freestyle. So yeah, there you go. These are my preferred motor for 240 and up gram 3-inch rigs. All right, what else do we have? Great question, Bradley Parsons. Thanks for coming by. Cecil says, Joshua has spoken and we obey. Indeed. So let me take a quick pause, and I have to give, I wish I'd done this sooner, but I have to give a huge, incredibly heartfelt, genuine thank you to Joshua Bardwell. In my life, every couple years, I meet someone who, just like as a human being, they're at a level that inspires me, like, to just be a better person. Just the full kind of spectrum of being a person, being compassionate, being, appreciating others, helping others, just all these things that make you a good human being, in my opinion. Every so often I'll meet a person that embodies those things in my mind better than I do, and they inspire the shit out of me to just be better in life. And Joshua has always been that person to me, but he did something last week that just so perfectly embodied that. And I'm not going to tell you guys what it is because I doubt that he wants me to kind of. But huge shout out to him. And if you guys are not one of his patrons, get your ass over there. I would rather you all be on Joshua's Patreon than my own. If you go on his and you have a couple of extra bucks left, sure, come on over to mine. Especially if you're into micros, I'm gonna have more micro focused content. But yeah, huge, tremendous, unbelievable shout out to Joshua Bardwell. He is just the best. He's just such an awesome human. Everybody give him props. He's done so much for this community, and he did a lot of it without asking for anything in return. You know, his Patreon, his affiliate links, all that stuff, that's all new. He was working for like 2+ years making content for nothing for all of us. And when he decided to get more serious about it, that's when he quit his job, did it full time, and of course that's where he needs to make some money, and that's where now unfortunately he starts to get shit from people of, oh, you're being paid by so and so because it's your living, and that's bullshit. He is like the only person. No, I shouldn't say that. He's not the only person, but he's the main person that hasn't done that I've seen in FPV. So yeah, huge thanks to him. Show him some love. Show him all the love, quite frankly, because he deserves it. Joshua, thank you, man. All right. What else do we have here? All right, you guys are talking to Bradley Parsons in the chat. Is there anything better than chasing your own quad shadow? The house blog asks, and the answer to that is no. Let me get these chats towards the bottom so I'm looking a little bit closer to the camera. Okay, so getting caught up here. I'm going to blast through these to try to get caught up on this chat because we got some work to do over on this side of the room. Derpa. Yeah, flimsy props, that could totally do it. That's not the problem, though. The problem is the motors. Okay, Noah says, try these two things. Okay, good. Thanks, Noah. Okay, you guys are working it with him. Very cool. Oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, don't ditch those motors yet. Try Betaflight 4.1 with the RPM filtering. Someone last night told me that their Nachi motors on the RPM filters really calm down. So definitely try that. Joshua has a video on it that I actually used on my stream last night to go through it and put RPM filtering on 5 different rigs. It is a lot easier than you'd think. Even if your ESC is BLHeli-S, give the $5 to Joe Lucid or $6 or whatever the hell it is. Give that guy your money because he deserves it because he did something awesome. Creating the firmware for BLHeli-S ESCs to run the RPM filters. Frankly, I wish he'd charged twice as much for that, just so that he had even more motivation to keep going on that because it is a goddamn game changer, I think, from what I just flew for micro rigs. Okay, here we go. There's where Supercell asked to show. Yeah, I wish I could Supercell. I really do because the V2 Acrobat looks really cool. I'm trying to think of what I can tell you without pissing Tommy off. I think the most important thing that I can tell you safely is that Tommy took all the feedback from the V1 and improved it. I think that's all I'm going to say. Tommy did something really cool with the Acrobat. He had a big team of testers. Usually with prototype frames, there'll be like 5 that are cut or 10 that are cut. Tommy cut a lot more than that. And he had us test it for months before he released it. And he was very, very good about listening to our feedback, talking through it with us, and really figuring out where he could make improvements to it. And that's exactly what he did. He made a bunch, this thing is pouring dirt all over my desk. He made a bunch of really intelligent, really performance-oriented improvements that should make it a better frame. And And that's all I'm going to say before I say something that I shouldn't. Because Tommy has also been very generous to me and very kind to me ever since I met him at Quad Camp Atlanta a year and a half ago. So there we go. Okay, so here's where I thought in the chat that I didn't have sound. Okay, good. CN Britt is up in here. How are you, CN? Up in Tennessee. Awesome. Build on the Acrobrat is, it's actually a Hobbywing ESC, which I don't love. I'm going to swap this ESC at some point out here to a Speedix GS25. That is one of the only truly small, well, here. It's one of the only 20 by 20 BL Heli 32 ESCs that is actually small. Most of the other ones become bigger. Like the holes will be 20/20, but then they'll extend the PCB out on all four corners, and it makes it a bitch to fit it into a micro. So this is my preferred ESC, plus these 20 by 20 Speedix ESCs have been bulletproof in my last 2 or so years of using them. So GS25 by Speedix, get you one of those. And then my favorite flight controller is what I just put in this, which is the Talon F7 with the MPU 6000 gyro. The motors are prototype T-Motor 1507s, but as I just mentioned, the Zing 1507 4200 kV are my favorites. Props are Gemfan 3028s. There are affiliate links to, not all, I'm still working on it, but there are affiliate links to a lot of these products in the, wherever it is, in the description of the video, wherever. You got to hit show more. But there's a link to my Patreon, and there are affiliate links. The way the affiliate links work is if you're going to do an Amazon order, if you click one of my affiliate links, the cookies on your browser remember that you clicked my affiliate link, and then if you buy anything on Amazon, it'll give me a couple bucks from that, and you don't have to do anything. You literally just have to click my link to get to Amazon, and then just put whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be that item. Put anything you want in your cart and do an order, and I'll make a couple bucks from that. So I assume it's a couple bucks. It hasn't happened yet, so I don't know. But I do need I do need your guys' help. I need to get 3 affiliate orders in. Well, 3 of you guys basically need to put affiliate orders in the next 30 days, or they'll cancel my. Basically, you fill out a big long application, and then that allows you to do the affiliate links. And then in the next 30 days, you have to get 3 of them in. And then as long as that happens, then they manually review your account, and they either approve you or deny you. If you don't get those 3 orders in, you get denied, period. I think a couple guys last night on my crazy 4-hour stream, random stream, I think 2 people might have placed orders. So we might only need 1 more, or there might be 3 already in there. I don't know how to check it. But, yeah. So that's my Acrobrat build. Cameras for the moment are a V1 split micro and a Sparrow, Runcam Sparrow 2, which is no longer made. The hot camera for this is going to be either the Tarsier V2. Well, for me, it's going to be the Tarsier V2 until the Runcam Hybrid comes out with a wider field of view lens on the FPV feed. So, yeah. I'm holding off on the Hybrid right now. Okay, great question, though. Who asked that question? Was it Supercell? I don't know. Whoever asked that question, it was a good one. Let's keep going because I do want to get caught up. Sound is fine, sound is fine, sound is fine. Puffy is in here. How are you, Puffy? Tiago Ramos, how are you? Mika. Mika asked me a question in Joshua's stream. I forget what it is, so Mika, please post that question again and we'll talk about it. Tranquility Baseball says, don't sit still like that. I thought my screen froze. Sean Hales is here. Sean, how the hell are you, my man? Okay, and this is where we were troubleshooting the sound. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Trey Cummings is here. How are you, Trey? Bradley Parsons, Puffy again. Tranquility Baseball was sent by Josh. Thanks for coming over, man. Appreciate